Hi, Leanne Donoghue-Tamplin here, and today I'm interviewing Cassandra Bache, and this is part two of my interview with Cassandra. Cassandra is talking about the most difficult obstacle that she's had to overcome, and that was her journey to pregnancy. She spent 2 years trying all kinds of different therapies to get herself pregnant. I can say there was a positive outcome. She now has a 4-year-old daughter named Sandy. Additionally, throughout the interview, you may hear some quiet snoring in the background. Cassandra's dog, Brandy, had surgery during the day, and so he was asleep on the couch beside her and making some snoring noises from time to time. All right, I hope you enjoy the interview with Cassandra, and I'll come back and review it and give you some ideas you can apply in your own life at the end of the interview. Thanks for listening. Bye for now. Now I'm gonna move on to another part of this, just to kind of pinpoint exactly what was going on. So
Sure.
what character strengths do you think you kind of drew on within yourself to push through all of this? I'm going to give you some examples, but there's a whole range of different character strengths you could pick from. But there might be things like good judgment, courage, perseverance, teamwork, self-discipline, forgiveness, connections to others, spirituality. What of those things do you think you drew on most?
Spirituality was massive for me.
Yeah.
And determination.
Yeah.
Focus.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And I find I'm amazed how I can be questioning why something in the rest of my life isn't happening, and yet I don't have the same focus.
Yes. And I think as well, one of the things I hear a lot of women say is there's a power in I have to, right? You know, that feeling that no one else can do this, and if I don't, it won't happen, and I just have to. And I've heard that in everything you've been saying along the way was, this is something I absolutely had to do. I had no choice. I needed to have a child. Yeah. And so it wasn't like, well, do I have to get out of bed in the morning, or how important is it that I do this, that, and the other thing? I just have to. And there's so much power in that, isn't there? I just must do it.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I think that's even beyond determination, perseverance. There is a no alternative option that I think seems to really give people some kind of a boost that they wouldn't have normally.
Right. Yeah, it's true. I feel like it almost doesn't have a word for it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Never thought about that.
Yeah. All right. Do you think that other people made any sacrifices or gave up things, or you yourself did, to make this happen?
I gave up wine.
That's pretty huge.
It definitely was big in my life. What did people give up?
And you.
Yeah. I think I gave up the old me.
Right. And why? How are you different to the old you?
It's like I have much more. Sorry, I'm kind of debating this.
Yeah.
I think almost like the strength and the commitment to it. It trumped anything else, right? Like the old me was kind of, I mean, I always had dependence because I've always had animals. So I've always had a lot of responsibility, and this just felt completely different. And even after her birth, but it was almost like nobody's going to mess with me. Like, I'm not going to let anyone or anything. So I kind of had to give up the person who would let that happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you did when you asked that guy not to see you again. That was kind of a turning point, wasn't it? It was, I'm choosing me and my choice, my purpose over you.
Yeah. And it's interesting. See that I felt very connected to him in a soulful relationship. So to me, it didn't make any sense that he would be choosing anything other than love, because that's like that type of love. And now I realize that there's no way I'm ever, and this is where the old person is gone, ever going to let, and maybe that's the way it's playing out predominantly is in relationship, but ever going to let anybody treat me the way that I've been treated in the past.
Right.
Like not for 1 minute.
Yeah.
So, and I would say a lot of that was because I was the person who was really determined to, get married, have children, and I was putting up with all that crap to try and get to that goal.
Yes.
And yeah, there's no way.
And you kind of took control of that decision too, instead of relying on others, didn't you? You kind of went, I'm going to make this happen on my own.
Absolutely.
And not wait for someone else to do it for me.
No.
When did you feel like you'd really accomplished something? Was there a point where you went, I did it?
Yeah, that was a really cool point. Actually, I was, I think there were kind of two of them, because there's, of course, oh my God, I'm pregnant, which I'll share with you a little bit of that. And then there was also, oh my God, the baby's probably going to live.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? Like it's going to make it to term, or it's looking that way.
Yeah.
And then of course the third one is, wow, she's here.
She's here.
She said, I have no doubt you are pregnant. And I'm like, what? And the next morning at like 5 o'clock, I was up doing the pregnancy test, and get this, I put it down and I'm like, seriously, I get a pregnancy test that doesn't work today. And it was upside down.
Oh. Oh God.
So sure enough, I was, and it was so early in the morning I couldn't call anyone.
Just had to sit on it.
Yes. I was like texting my friend going, wake up. So
wow.
It was pretty interesting. So that was
amazing. So that was that feeling of I'm pregnant, but as you said, it was still with caution until you got past a certain point and thought she's actually going to stay.
Yeah, I didn't actually have a lot of caution. It was more just milestones that you sort of go through in pregnancy, right? But that initial one it wasn't just conception that I was going to get a baby. It was confirmation that I'd been right, because I came to the conclusion that I needed to shift the energy, not a day with my shaman.
Yeah,
I came to that conclusion.
Yeah.
And so I kind of felt like, oh, I'm getting the hang of this. Like I actually know something and can listen to my intuition and, stuff like it was a lot of things. It wasn't just conception.
So if we then look at, now how you're using some of those things, you said one of those things is you listen to yourself now and you kind of trust that you know more than you would have before. You were just, that idea that I can listen and I do know some stuff, I do have some ideas. Is that something that you're using now, would you say?
Yeah, I would say yes and no. Yeah. So I would say that I'm realizing that it's really strong with some things, which is amazing. Like I kept getting this really strong feeling that I needed to move back to Toronto. Right. And here I am, and that's where I'm supposed to be. And then most recently with having to move again, I realized I really need to be close to Sandy's school. And that's really important. And the reason I every once in a while, I just check in with my shaman, and sure enough, what I'm getting as intuition is what she's getting as this is what she's supposed to do. Right. So I get that sort of confirmation. I don't check in very often.
Yeah.
But when I do, it's like the big things, I was right. And I get this amazing, like, okay, cool. I'm like, I'm now getting to the point where I can live a more guided life, if you will. And I'm making good decisions for myself, and they're in line with what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Other ways, I would say that I'm still floundering a bit. And I would say I'm probably lacking that really clear vision and that really clear focus. So I would say when it comes to raising my daughter, I'm really clear, very focused. So of course, need to be close to the school because that's the school that I want her in. That it's abundantly clear, and easy to pick up on the intuition, and easy to trust the intuition, and all of these things. So when I don't have that, and I obviously need to get it in some other areas of my life, then it seems to not be as easy.
Yeah. So that's something that you're continuously working on. Are there other parts of this journey that you're applying in your life now?
Absolutely. I had a big shift through this journey. I have a biology background. I have a biology degree. And as I mentioned earlier, I was going to go into medicine or naturopathic medicine and a number of different areas. And I ended up actually going into the environment. But I had all of the biology background as well. And through this, I feel like I've come full circle. So I've gone back to working with humans, and I'm a fertility coach now.
Right.
And so I'm able to, and to be honest, I didn't even realize that I was doing it. Some feedback from clients was that I helped them get a really clear intention and helped them get that focus. And I hadn't actually thought it through of how important that had been to me in my journey.
Yeah.
And here I was doing it without even realizing it. And so I help people. So I kind of feel like I was, as I said, I was throwing everything at the wall. Something was bound to stick. And I feel like I've kind of, what's the best way to explain it? I've kind of filtered through a lot of what I did, and found processes like the process that I take people through to help them clear their subconscious blocks is the same process, though more scientific than what I did with the shaman.
Yeah.
So I'll just stumble for a minute. It is available to more people accessible to more people because, of course, there are lots of people who might not be comfortable working with a shaman.
Yeah.
So this is a step-by-step process that guides people through clearing those blocks. And if I had known that earlier on, if I'd had access to that, to be able to clear this block that was really what was holding up my body, because there wasn't anything going wrong with my body. I even had a laparoscopy to check, and anyways, all kinds of things, nothing going wrong with my body.
Yeah.
And it was that block that I had. Yeah. If I'd been able to clear that earlier in the process, maybe I would have gotten pregnant a lot earlier. Given how fast it happened, I suspect I would have.
Well, you had done a lot of preparation stuff as well, you were saying beforehand. So you'd done a lot of nutritional things and a variety of other things. And as you said, when you were throwing everything at the wall, some things stuck, and there was this, you've ended up with a group of things that know really helped and set you up for that final step that allowed you to get pregnant.
Absolutely. And that's what I apply in my business now. I help people go through sort of the changes that they need to make in their diet, in their life, because we have so much stress.
Yeah.
So trying to help people even identify what the stresses could be and get this clear intention and the focus they need, and then clear any blocks. So I sort of guide people through that process.
So would you say then that although that 2 years was really tough and a bit of a roller coaster, and there was a lot going on, you're juggling, it sounds like you're probably still working and stuff at the same time, so you're trying to manage a whole lot of things at once. Would you say, though, at the end of this, that you've life is better, or you've improved, or there's something you can see that was a benefit from going through this process besides having a child?
Of course. Absolutely. I probably wouldn't have, I can't think of anything else that was important enough to me to have gone through this process. Mm-hmm. And now that I have, I am a different person. Like I just, I have a lot of faith, and it's not in, anything. It's just in that I always find that I struggle for the right language for this, because I feel like there are people who are like, oh my God, she believes in God, and I elaborate on this a little bit, because I even tell people to I don't care if they don't believe in anything, pray to Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
Because I don't care, because the thing is that what they're doing, so you have the conscious, the subconscious, and the superconscious. And what the work I do does is I align the three. Mm-hmm. And the subconscious the subconscious controls 99% of the show. Mm-hmm. 99% of your decisions and whatnot are driven by your beliefs, not by what you think. And then your superconscious is your connection to whatever you want to believe is up there. Mm-hmm. And so I wrestle with it, because I don't want to make people uncomfortable. But at the same time, whether it's my own intuition, my own subconscious, the divine, the universe, wherever that information is coming from that is informing me to make decisions in my life with confidence, and that are, going to propel me forward, I do that now. And I'm able to do that, and I do it quite strongly. Whereas before, I would say I didn't trust it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The only thing I got before that I trusted was, oh my God, I'm going to have a car accident. Everything else, I would be like, oh, was that my intuition? Am I thinking it? Am I making it up? Now it's like, oh, I need to live close to Sandy's school. Right. That's really strong. I can't find a place to live, but I'm going to.
Yeah. So there's a certainty about it.
Absolutely. I hope that wasn't too all over the place.
No, that's good. I actually was thinking when you were talking about, and we're going to finish up in just a minute, right? Yeah. I was thinking when you were talking about Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, which is a really famous psychologist, and one of the earliest books that started suggesting that people needed to focus on something other than, say, thoughts. It was much more about a search for meaning and purpose. And he was in the concentration camps. And so he was able to identify that the people who were there who actually physically survived because they had a focus on some meaningful purpose outside of it. So whether that be a faith in God or spirituality, or whether it be I want to see my daughter again, or those were the people that in these extreme circumstances people would just die. Those were the people that survived. It was that meaning, that purpose, whether it, as you say, whether it be about Winnie the Pooh or anything else, it's that faith and that belief that pushes you through and keeps you going. So, and it's a really powerful piece of work and highly regarded in psychology. But I think, that's exactly what you're talking about, isn't it? It doesn't matter the underlying who it is that you're believing in, but having that faith and that direction, and it gives you that purpose and brings things together. And I also think that what you're saying is there are some areas of your life that you're doing that really well, but there are some areas that you're not. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. That idea of I just have to, I actually think is about that meaning and purpose.
Right. And the other thing about having that is that it's communicating it by really focusing on it and praying or meditating or whatever you do.
Yes.
You're communicating that to your subconscious all the time, instead of the negative little voices in your head that are saying, you know, oh, I doubt myself. Oh, I don't want that. That are communicating with your subconscious too.
That you might not even be aware are happening. So it's kind of bringing those to your awareness and then changing them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really powerful.
That's fantastic. I think that's been really great. Thank you so much for sharing all that information, Cassandra. Is there anything else that you want to add, or you think that people need to know about before we finish up?
No, I don't think so. It's been a really interesting discussion, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, thank you. That was fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, so just wanted to review what was covered in the second half of Cassandra's interview. She was saying that this process of trying to get pregnant, the process she went through for those 2 years has greatly improved her life, and she really wants to help other people with the same problem. And she feels that she now has the skill set to do that. There's a whole lot of things that she wished she'd known in the beginning. And she also wants to be able to, normalize some of those things she did that seemed a bit out there when she was doing them for herself. So she described feeling that she'd received a confirmation that she was right. She feels much more certain about listening to her own gut feelings and paying attention to what that's telling her to do. She trusts herself more. She said she's not perfect at that, but she tries to do that a lot more in her life on a daily basis. She said the experience has changed her drastically and in a really positive way. She's a very different and more focused person than she was before, and takes care of herself a lot better than she did as well. She also said she's now better in relationships with other people because she won't let people throw her off course. And in the past, that was happening to her all the time. She described that as feeling that she takes ownership of her life now, and that nobody is going to stop her getting what she wants. So the journey, although it was a 2-year-long journey and a really difficult experience for her, and one that required all of her attention and focus, it has left her being in a much better place to where she was before, and she's really grown because of it. All right, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the interview with Cassandra, and I'll talk to you again soon.